Picture this. You're sitting in a hospital waiting room. The lights are that awful fluorescent white. The chairs are stiff, and someone you love is right in the other room, right on the other side of the door, and you can't go through yet. And the first question somebody asks you in the room isn't, are they okay? It isn't, what did the doctor say? It's this. Do they have good insurance? Sit with that for a second. Because that question in that moment, in that room, tells you everything about the system we've built. We live in the most medically advanced era in human history. Robotic surgeries, gene therapy, AI that can detect cancer before you feel a single symptom. And yet, whether you survive might come down to the color of a plastic card in your wallet. And today, we're going to talk about the business of staying alive. The research, the insurance, the billing. The people getting crushed by a system that was supposed to help them. And one family right here in our community who is living proof of everything that is both broken and worth fighting for.
Look who just rolled in. It's time to butter up your ears for laughs, life, and a little flaky wisdom. It's all about the biscuits with RJ.
At All About the Biscuits, we believe life's just a big old platter of toppings. Flaky, spicy, sweet, even messy. And guess what? We butter them all up and dig right in. Whether it's real talk or ridiculous rants. I'm RJ, and we're serving it hot. All topics, all biscuits, always served hot.
Welcome back to All About the Biscuit. I'm RJ, and if you're new here and this is your first time, this is where we slow it down long enough to actually think. Not just react, not just repeat whatever headline was shoved in front of us this past week. We take real stories, real frustration, real life, and we look at it head on at every layer and what's actually underneath it. Because today's episode isn't just about cancer. It isn't just about insurance. It's about what happens when a system that was built to help people starts forgetting that people actually exist. Look, I want to be real with you on this one. This one is personal for me. I've been through it myself. My family has been through it. And I'm watching a friend and his family walk into something no family should ever have to face twice. So let's get into it. let's take this back all the way to 1971. Richard Nixon signs the National Cancer Act. The war on cancer begins. And since then, we have poured hundreds of billions of dollars into research. We've had marathons, telethons, pink ribbons, gold ribbons, every color of the rainbow. And look, I want to give credit where it's due. The 5-year survival rate in 1975 was around 50%. Today, it's pushing 70%. Child leukemia went from 10% survival almost to 90%. Now, that's real progress. That happened. I am not going to ignore it. I'm not going to ignore facts. But here's where my common sense tends to kick in. After 50 years and hundreds of after 50 years and hundreds of billions of dollars, why does it feel like what we mostly have is maintenance? You take a pill every day for the rest of your life. You go in for treatment every month for years. It keeps you in the system. It keeps the money flowing. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am a common sense person. And common sense tells me that if you are a multi-trillion-dollar industry, a one-time cure isn't exactly a great business model. Not compared to a 30-year treatment plan. Now, I've heard the science argument, and I totally get it. There are 200 different types of cancer. They mutate. They're your own cells behaving badly. You can't just carpet bomb the crap out of them without damaging things around it. But we can't. But here's the problem. We can put a rover on Mars. We can 3D print a human heart. And you mean to tell me we can't find something better than charging a family tens of thousands of dollars a month to stay alive? Something to me is just not adding up. And I know 2 people going through treatment right now. And you're telling me there's nothing better than maintenance? Hey, real quick. This podcast isn't just about stories. It's connected to something real. We do it every single month. Meals, support, real help. Right here at home. No big organization behind it. Just people deciding to care and act today. So if this podcast has ever made you think, laugh, or feel something, I'm asking you to take this one step further. Back the mission. Because hearing about it, that's just one thing. Being a part of it, that's the difference. Making an impact. Hit the link. Stand with us. I want to step away from the numbers just for a moment. Because this podcast isn't just a topic for a podcast. This is real. I want to tell you about my buddy Kit. He is a friend of mine who lives right here on Johns Island. Kit is the kind of guy who shows up. Everybody knows the type. He's the steady center. He loves running, soccer, and a damn good cup of coffee. And more than anything, caring for those people he loves. His wife has dealt with a traumatic brain injury for years. Seizures, balance, memory issues, and she can't drive either. His older daughter is autistic and lives at home. Kit is the primary driver. He's the cook. He's the caretaker. He is the one who makes the world spin for the people he loves. 11 years ago, Kit fought a rare cancer that's called, let me make sure I get this right, adenoid cystic carcinoma. I think I got it right. And with this cancer in the roof of his mouth, they removed it. Actually, let me back up. They removed his upper jaw, his palate, and his sinus tissue. 7 weeks later, after radiation, he survived. He beat it. Scans were clear for years. And at one point, the doctors even told him his scans were clear, that he didn't need to get any more. Can you imagine that feeling? 10 years of waiting and watching and worrying. And finally getting the time to breathe again. And then, late last year, that pain came back. The cancer is spreading along the nerves of his face, his head, near his optical area also. And there is no way to remove it. Surgery is just too risky and too invasive. So starting this past March of this year, Kit goes through his gauntlet all over again. Radiation twice a week, 5 days a week, including chemo once a week alongside of it. All while he is still the only driver, cook, and caretaker in that house. His daughter, Michaela, who is there helping, is a second-year medical student at MUSC. Congratulations. She has been fundraising to help out her dad and family. Because even with a good job and insurance, the out-of-pocket costs are estimated to be tens of thousands of dollars. And that's just the medical. That doesn't count for meals, gas, the time off, and the toll it takes on one person and their family. This man has spent 10 years in the clear. And the system he paid into, the research we donated to, it's all being put to the test right now. Again. And still, his family has to ask the community to help cover just basic costs. And you know what? Our community showed up. I love it. That is why I'm fired up about this. Kit Palmer is exactly who this system is supposed to protect. And then there's the bureaucracy, the middlemen. And I'll get a bit personal for a second. A year ago, I had Achilles tendon surgery. $26,000 later. I have 2 insurances, and I am very, very grateful. Don't get me wrong. And when you have 2, you think, great, I'm covered. But here is how it actually works. Insurance company number 1 pays their portion. Insurance company number 2 comes in as secondary. But secondary doesn't mean they pick up the rest. They pay some small percentage of what's actually left. And you are stuck with thousands. I told them I have 2 primaries, not 1, 2. They said you can only have 1 primary. I said, no, we pay for both. Both should pay at least their fair share. They don't care. And here's the part that really burned me. I did not get a bill until a year later. A year. Do you know how long a year is? You could literally have a whole kid in that amount of time. And here's what most people don't know. There is no federal law limiting how long a medical facility can wait before billing you. Some states allow providers 12 to 24 months to actually send the bill. With my wife's insurance, they give us a card so that we can use up to a certain amount for medical costs. But by the time the bill arrived, we were in a whole new fiscal year. The card had reset. The window had closed. And now it's coming out of our own pocket because they couldn't get the billing together in time. The system is designed to exhaust you. They send you an EOB, an explanation of benefits, that looks like it was written in ancient hieroglyphics. You think it's settled, and then a year later, surprise! But if you think my story is frustrating, let me tell you about Amanda Boley. Amanda had a medical emergency. She was dead and then unconscious. She was rushed to the hospital in a life-saving. She was rushed to the hospital in a life-saving air ambulance. Months later, her insurance, Anthem, actually denied her claim. Wait for it. The reason: the air transport was not pre-authorized. Just sit with that for a second. She was dead and then unconscious. And the insurance company looked at that situation and said, well, you should have called ahead. Amanda said it herself. That night, I was dead, and then I was unconscious. I don't know how I'm supposed to get pre-approval. She was facing a $65,000 bill. Of course, she fought the insurance company on her own for months. Nothing moved, nothing happened. Then a local news investigator got involved. The second a camera and a reporter started asking questions, Anthem reversed their denial within days. Think about that. Think about what that says. They could have fixed it the whole time. They just chose not to until someone was watching. And that's what breaks my heart. How many other Amandas are out there right now with no news crew? No spotlight, no reporter calling on their behalf. Just a denial letter, a kitchen table, and a pile of bills. Nobody covers those stories because nobody's filming them. So let's just look at who we're actually dealing with, because I think this matters. The four biggest insurance companies in this country: United Health Group, Elevance Health, CVS Health with Aetna, and what's the other one? Centene Corporation. Together, those four companies generate over $54 billion in profit off of $1.7 trillion in revenue in 2005. $54 billion in profit. While Amanda's air ambulance got denied, while Kit's family is on GoFundMe trying to cover copays, while I'm still untangling a bill from a surgery I had a year ago. And every year, premiums go up. Deductibles go up. Coverage gets narrower. But that profit number just keeps on climbing up. I'm not here to tell you what I think about that. I just want to put those numbers next to each other and ask. I want to ask you, does that feel right to you? And a big part of how we got here goes back to the ACA. some refer to as Obamacare. Everybody deserves access to health care. I'm genuinely not arguing that. The heart of the idea was right. But here's what I actually lived. Before the ACA, I had a plan that actually worked for my family. After that plan was gone, premiums went up, deductibles went up, and what I got back in return wasn't more. Now I'm paying for 2 insurances, full premiums on both, and I'm still getting bills a year later. That's not a policy argument. That's just my life. Then came the subsidies, which sounds great until you look at where the money actually is going. My tax dollars straight to the same companies already pulling in $54 billion in profit. The same ones that denied Amanda's air ambulance while she was unconscious. The same ones sending Kit's family to GoFundMe. The same ones billing me a year after my surgery. And I don't think I'm alone in wondering, is there a version of this that actually works for regular people? Because I genuinely want to know what you think. And the insurance companies don't do this alone. They've got partners. They have partners in the pharmaceutical world also. You remember the EpiPen scandal? Life-saving allergy injection that's been around for decades. It cost about, I don't know, $100 for a 2-pack back in the mid-2000s, 2007-ish. But by 2016, $600, same product, same drug inside. They investigated it, and guess what? They found no wrongdoing. Go figure. Who was doing the investigation? Because a 600% price increase on something a child needs to survive when having an allergic reaction is just wrong. And nobody did anything about it. And the investigation found no wrongdoing. Just because something is legal does not mean it is not immoral. If it smells like a turd, looks like a turd, and acts like a turd, it's a turd. And Purdue Pharma is the same story. They made billions off of the opioid crisis. Paid people off, covered it up. And then told the world they did nothing wrong. They were a legal cartel. The only difference between them and a street dealer is a building and a lobbyist. I want to go somewhere a little different for a minute. Away from the headlines, away from the executives. Because I want to tell you about a room I sat in. My father was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. First year after diagnosis, we still had hope. 3 years later, he was gone. That's how fast it came and took him from us. His was mostly motor skills at first. Then the psychotic delusions started. And eventually, he had to move into assisted living facility. Pretty normal. Getting Medicare and Medicaid approved for him was its own war. The criteria, the forms, the timelines. Real cases just sitting there on the back burner because the system is too busy chasing fraud that it really never actually catches. And the fraud thing is what gets me. If it looks like fraud, it probably is fraud. Just like a turd. Common sense should be part of the process. But instead, they make legitimate patients jump through hoops while real scammers figure out the workarounds. But the part that still stays with me, the part that I will never, ever forget. I was sitting visiting my dad one afternoon, and I watched a woman, probably 85 to 90 years old. She was sitting in a wheelchair, just parked in front of a TV. She was crying. Not loudly. It wasn't very dramatic. Just quietly crying. And all she wanted was a blanket. Staff walked by, one after the other. Nurses, aides, people whose whole job is to care for these people. Walking by, phones in their hand, eyes somewhere else. I walked over to help, and staff members stopped me in my tracks. They told me I couldn't give her a blanket. It was a liability issue. I said, liability? A 90-year-old woman is sitting there crying for a blanket. A fucking blanket. And the answer I get, it's a liability. My dad would fall forward in his wheelchair because, he was exhausted, hunched over, head down. I asked about putting a light harness across his chest just so it could hold him upright, kind of like just like a seatbelt, a little loose. Not allowed, against policy. These are for-profit facilities, which means the priority is the profit first. And the 90-year-old woman crying for a blanket, she's somewhere further down the list. And I'm not saying every nurse and aide is bad. I know there are good people in those places working hard. But the system they work inside, the policies, the liability rules, the staffing levels is set up to protect the building, not the patient at all. And I know why people are angry. I'm angry too. When you feel like the system doesn't see you, when you've been denied, delayed, and ignored, that frustration is real and it's valid. But I have to address something that happened. Brian Thompson was a husband, a father. He was shot and killed on the streets of New York City. His kids lost their dad. His wife lost her husband. And they are now living their own version of grief that nobody is talking about. Murder is wrong. That is not up for debate. Not when you're angry at a company, not when you're angry at a system. Not ever. And I'll tell you what bothers me just as much. The people online who were cheering, celebrating like something had been fixed. Nothing was fixed. And a family lost someone. And the system didn't change one word of its policy. So if you're furious, good. Stay furious. But the point that energy somewhere, it can point the energy somewhere it can actually do something. Call your representative. Demand legislation. Show up. Vote. Make noise where it actually counts. Because killing a person doesn't fix a broken system. It just leaves two families broken instead of one. So I want to end on something real. Because not everything out there is a dead end. There's research happening right now using mRNA technology, the same platform behind the COVID vaccines. They're using it to develop what they are calling therapeutic cancer vaccine. Not a shot to prevent you from ever getting cancer, a shot that trains your immune system to recognize cancer cells and go get them. And if the technology works for cancer, what does it mean for Parkinson's? What does it mean for ALS? My dad had Parkinson's. I've seen what it does to a person. It's a slow fade. If we unlock the ability to a program, the body, if we unlock the body to be programmed to fix itself, that ripple effect is enormous. So why aren't we moving at warp speed on this? Is it because a vaccine is a one-time thing and a maintenance drug is a forever thing? I'm just here asking questions. You decide the answer. And here's what I know actually works right now, today. When people fight back, stay on it, and keep pushing, even with denial after denial after denial, sometimes the needle moves. It shouldn't be that hard, but here we are. But until the system changes, you have to be your own advocate. Read all your EOBs, appeal the denials, make the calls. And if you have someone in your corner, use them. Because the only time these companies reverse course is when someone is watching. So make yourself impossible to ignore. So let me bring this all the way home. A bill that shows up a year later. A woman who was dead being told she needed to pre-authorize. A 90-year-old woman crying for a blanket. A man doing radiation twice a day while still running a household. All different stories, all different moments. All pointing at the same thing. You know what keeps sticking with me? A plastic card in a waiting room. A bill that shows up a year later. A woman being told she needed pre-approval while she was unconscious. Somewhere along the way, we built a system that forgot how to just help. Not the doctors, not the nurses on the ground working double shifts. The system. The billing departments, the insurance algorithms, the prior authorization desks, the executives collecting 8-figure bonuses while families sit at their kitchen tables opening denial letters. That's today's biscuit. Not just take care of your health, not just buy better insurance. The biscuit is this: demand better. Demand better from your insurance company, from your pharmaceutical companies, from your elected officials. For every institution that is taking your money and bets that you're too exhausted to fight back, fight back. Be like Michaela Palmer. Stand up for your people. Ask the hard questions. Read the paperwork. Fight the denials. Make the noise. And if you see a Kit Palmer in your community, somebody who has been the steady center for everybody else and is finally starting to wobble, be the brace. We have raised billions for research. Maybe it's time we raised some hell about the results. To Kit and the Palmer family, we're with you. Stay curious. Keep your common sense about you. And remember, this isn't just about medicine. It's about people. And if the system forgets that, then it's on us to remind them. I'm RJ, and this is All About the Biscuits. I'll catch you on the next one. Be kind. Go out into the world and put a smile on someone's face today.
Thanks for pulling up a chair with us at All About the Biscuits. Remember, life's messy, flaky, and sometimes sweet, but we're in it together. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, leave a review, and pass the plate to a friend. See you next time.